Motorsport Club is held in the spectacular surroundings of the Mpumalanga Lowveld. The route runs through dense forests and across rivers that cover the magnificent mountains before returning to Sabi. The popular town stages through the streets of Sabi and White River complete the action on day 1. Day 2 consists of a further 10 stages, taking crews from the Nelspruit Overnight Park Fem to Sabi and back again, covering some 194 kilometers of competitive racing. Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson fired the first salvo of the season, winning the Tour Natal Rally in their Class A7 BP Volkswagen Golf back in March. Toyota debuted the new Super 2000 class Toyotas, becoming the first manufacturer in the world to take to the start of a rally in these new four-wheel drive vehicles. It was off to the Western Cape for the Toyota Dealer Rally in April, where Serge Damso and Robert Paisley showed the true potential of the Super 2000 cars. The current champion's winning margin over second place Habig and Judd was nearly 4 minutes. Volkswagen rolled out 2 sparkling new S2000 BP Polos for the Total Rally in May, but it was business as usual at the front as Damso and Paisley gave their Castrol Toyota Runx its second victory. Habig made it home in second place in the Volkswagen Polo's debut. The points tally is tight lower down for Sachi and Piazza Musso, tied for 4th overall in a Toyota Runx. Place where the sun rises. Well, not when the Sasol Rally is in town though. Thick mist and light drizzle fell as the teams made last-minute adjustments to their cars. The tension was palpable amongst the drivers, excitement building amongst the spectators as maps were studied to find the best viewing point. The top 5 starting positions had been determined by means of a public draw 2 weeks prior to the rally, with Keen and Hodgson first away over the starting ramp. They are followed by Etienne Lawrence and Andre Vermeulen in their S2000 Team Total Toyota Runx, with Johnny Gemmel and Marty Olivier next up. Damso and Paisley are 4th off the line, with Habig and Judd in 5th place on the road. Thereafter, the teams start in their seeding order, a performance-based list ensuring that the fastest cars are at the front. Watched by an appreciative audience, armed with team posters and Sasol giveaways, the action is about to get underway. Arguably the most popular rally of the year, 67 rally teams came under starters' orders, watched by tens of thousands of spectators who line the route, come rain or shine, creating an electric atmosphere. It was not to be, though, for Etienne Lawrence and Andre Vermeulen and the Super 2000 Team Total Toyota. A misunderstanding between the team members resulted in insufficient fuel being poured into the tank, and Lawrence would not make it out of stage 1. And in a twist of irony, but for different reasons, the same fate befell Charles Wilken and Robin Houghton in the A7 Castrol Toyota Runx. Stage 1, Ben Potmais next to the awesome Mac Falls, a quick 6.64 kilometer sprint. The road was wet and slippery, the stage hiding narrow bridges and some rough and rocky sections. As droves of spectators made their way to the best viewing points, it was Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson who rocketed out of the starting blocks, taking the BP Polo to a 7-second win over Serge Damso and Robert Paisley. Damso is smooth and deceptively quick, whatever the conditions. Carefully watch the clock now and see how close the racing really was. Habig and Judd came home 4th quickest, 12 seconds adrift of Keen. The battle in Class A7 is just as fierce. Feken was only 8th quickest through the stage as the front-wheel drive cars battled to put their power down. His Golf is the car that Habig used for the first 2 rallies of the season, while VW Motorsport complete a new Polo for the Pretoria Charger. Jean-Pierre Damso and Cobus Frey shadowed their rivals by a single second in their Team Total Toyota Runx. Both Class A7 leaders were beaten by the top Class N4 production cars, Gemmel and Olivier laying down their marker with the 3rd best time in the stage. Claudio Piazzamusso and Janine Labuschagne pushed their Sasol Runx to the limit to stay with the Class N3 leaders Christa Witt and Patrick Yende. Javi van Niekerk and Greg Gondridge jumped into 5th overall in the Mitsubishi Lancer. Jaco Venter and Armand de Tooy took Class A6 honours, while Dolf Coetzee and Irma de Plooy snatched the advantage in Class A5. cars arrived at the Graskop Town Service Park. Let's hear what the early rally leaders had to say.
This is like my first event, you know. Previous outing was, we'd rather forget about that. And yes, I spent some valuable time in the car. I'm a lot more comfortable in it. We're getting towards it. I think there's another step to take towards a perfect setup. And we're awaiting a few components to get there. But the car's certainly very, very drivable, and I like it. I feel comfortable in it.
Early drama for the Class A7 frontrunner. The rocky sections are already taking their toll. The Volkswagen technicians spring into action to see if there's any damage besides the obvious.
7 minutes. Yeah, we had a flat wheel, but it was very close to the end, probably 2-3 Ks, and it was getting flat slowly. So it wasn't too bad. We didn't lose any time, I think. But it's muddy and wet out there. For the front wheel drives, we get a lot of wheel spin. We actually can't get away. We're leading the Class A7 now by about 10 seconds. So JP's not far off, and in this mud, anything can happen.
After a quick 10-minute stop at the service park, it's off to stage 2. Jan van Skalkwyk, 19.65 kilometers of wet roads below Cowains Pass, had loose rocks and tree-felling debris lying around to catch out the unwary. With soft rain still falling, Surge strikes back. The 10 times driver champion set a scintillating time 10 seconds faster than Keen, taking the overall lead by 3 seconds. Jan Habig and Douglas Judd had a slow start by their lofty standards. The second BP Volkswagen Polo hampered by a power-sapping persistent misfire. After 2 stages, they were 25 seconds off Damso's lead. Johnny Gemmel and Marty Olivier took the 4th fastest time in their L&J Plant Sasol Delight Mitsubishi Lancer and were just 8 seconds behind Habig on the overall standings. Van Niekerk and Godridge again claimed the 5th fastest time, the Pretoria property developer releving in the conditions in his 2nd season of rally. Capetonian Richard Bem and Grant Sinclair upheld Sasol's honour with a time 2 seconds slower than Fecken. The 2nd Sasol Lancer, driven by Fernando Rueda, was missing from their home event as Rueda is recovering from torn shoulder ligaments sustained on the last rally. Dolf Coetzee with Irma Deploy in the hot seat are the reigning Class A5 champions, but were beaten in stage 2 by Gugu Zulu and Llewellyn Fourie. Another short 10-minute service allowed the drivers to reflect on the conditions.
Between Enzo now, I think there's 2 seconds or 3 seconds in between after a few stages already, so tight. The risk you can fall off is also good, so we have to just watch a bit more.
There were no worries in the Volkswagen camp.
Yeah, we opted for the safe tyre choice, which was the dry weather tyre in the mud, simply because the wets are more prone to puncture. So, you know, I think it's a bit early in the event to take risks.
Bem and Sinclair were happy at this early stage of the rally.
Well, I think everyone was a little caught out of that stage. The first stage was wet and it was right for wet tyres, but the last stage was definitely for RWs or the intermediates, because there's a lot of straights where the car was picking up a lot of speed, coming into corners where it needed to brake hard, and the actual wet tyres are really soft, so they're pretty much bending over and a little bit unstable under braking.
Off to stage 3 then, Simon and John McNamara, and another 18.7 kilometers of intense concentration. Contours, blind rises and rough sections, and of course mist and drizzle. Enzo Keen fought back, beating Damso by 5 seconds to snatch the overall lead by 2, with Habig holding on to 3rd overall. The Polo was still hampered by a frustrating misfire, causing them to drop even more, now 38 seconds behind Keen. A feature of the Sasol Rally Championship this year is the intense rivalry between the top 4 Class N3 cars, all production-based Toyota Run X's. Rally newcomer Claudio Piazzamuso and Janine Labeschagny have scored 3 second places in 3 events and lie second in the title chase. The son and father pairing of John and Douglas Williams had a troubled start to the year, but with their re-liveried Gajima AST Runex are back in the hunt and 1 second behind Visagie, but both trail de Wit. The current champions Rodney Visagie and Carolyn Swan lead the title chase in their team totaled Runex by 4 points. Veteran Mally Saville and Dean Redlinghuis drove steadily and were just outside the top 10, while the Rally Chick siblings Lola and Megan Verluck battled on without windscreen wipers in their brand new Subaru Impreza WRX. As the teams headed to service, the retirement list had grown to 7.
Yeah, we went on wet tyres. It's marginal. We won the stage, so they're working, but it was a bit rocky. And wet tyres tend to get punctures in rocky stages, so it's a bit of a risk. But it's put us in the lead by 3 seconds, so it's very tight at the top. Well, we led after the first, lost it for the second, and now we're leading in after the third. So yeah, it's good fun out there today.
Richard Bem and Grant Sinclair were holding their own in 6th overall.
If I look at the times, I see Yapi put on dries, or at least the intermediate, and he beat us by 4 seconds. Right now, I think that it's pretty much of a muchness as to which tyre is better, because there's patches that are good for intermediates and good patches for wets as well.
Watched by Dad Serge, JP Damso had problems.
About 8 k's into the stage we broke a side shaft, so we just cruised out. It cost us about 2 minutes. Luckily we got a 20-minute service now, so we could change it before the long one, so hopefully everything will go well from now.
So it's like really put us out of it. So I think what we must do is just go for a finish now, and collect some points.
Stage 4, the longest of the day at 25.5 kilometers in length, twisting and turning with wide, smooth and fast roads. A twisty and tight uphill-downhill mountain pass littered with suspension torturing yumps. This stage had something of everything. The Damso-Keen yo-yo continued, with Damso again winning the stage, beating Keen by 8 seconds to take the overall lead by 6. The aging but ultra-competitive previous shape Toyota Corolla dominates Class N2. Natalians Costa Komantarakis and Barry White beat the NPS Corolla of Aggie Stroh and Jurg Steyn by 3 seconds, eking out a 4-second gap to the double-class winner. Stroh was to suffer no less than 5 punctures along the way. Young Etienne de Tour and Patrick Vermaak were having a frustrating rally as their McCarthy Toyota Corolla had a gearbox problem, but they soldiered on nevertheless. Mike Nathan and Graham Hooper had a wake-up call.
This morning we fell asleep a bit in the first stage here, and the guys sort of gave us a hiding. And then we've been fighting back ever since. It's a really nice stage, first time I've ever driven up here. I spectated up here once before. And in the last stage we took 27 seconds back, and we're now leading by 22, so we're going well now. The guys are really flying, they're pushing very hard. At one stage it was 3 seconds between the top 3 cars in our class. And it's touch and go, just one break too early and then you're back to 3rd place again.
The top 7 crews were holding station. Fisser du Plessis and Mark Pym the only newcomers into the top 8.
We've got a misfire, and it's like, it's hampering our confidence in the tight stuff, and especially the quick stuff as well, where it hesitates for 2-3 seconds before it takes its full power. And sometimes you don't have 2 or 3 seconds to play with. So.
Stage 5, Richard Madden presented 13 kilometers of fast forest sweeps on dry gravel roads with enough loose rocks and roller coaster blind rises to keep everyone alert. A5, the smallest modified class, saw Gugu Zulu and Llewellyn Fourie winning the stage in their BP Volkswagen Chico from Dolf Coetzee and Irma de Plooy's Toyota Taz. Coetzee now held a 31-second lead. Michael Houghton and Ben Doherty dominated in the last 2 events and were running a very conservative rally in their Motorola Toyota Taz, 50 seconds behind Coetzee. Etienne Malherbe and Henny Boetes were holding down second in Class A5 in their Crosley Car Hire Toyota Taz, intent on finishing the event after retirement on the last round. The hugely popular Top Car World Rally Championship Bid 2006 BMW had fans cheering wherever it went, the tail-wagging driving style of Cliff Blackman establishing it as a firm favourite. They were running well. After a well-deserved 50-minute break in Sabi, it was time to tackle the traditional 860-metre-long Stage 6 through the streets of Sabi. As preparations to close the streets were underway and safety measures put into place, spectators streamed into town for the Sasol Turbo Fuel Sabi Town Twister. As darkness fell, the atmosphere was electric. Ever mindful that contact with the curb can spell instant retirement, the drivers sought the fine balance between putting on a show and not losing too much time. In a display of brute power, Johnny Gemmel and Marty Olivier set the fastest time of 1 minute 19 seconds, which was equalled by John and Doug Williams. Nicholas Ryan and Schalk van Heerden powered their Bosel Subaru Impreza around just 2 seconds slower than Gemmel and Williams. Visser Duplessis and Mark Perm equalled Ryan's time in their similar Metmeister Sasol Delight Subaru. Craig Trott was the quickest Class A6 runner, but was matched by Jaco Venter, both in Toyota Corollas. Bem and Sinclair and their Mitsubishi were excluded soon after this stage for a safety infringement. In the race for overall positions, all three S2000 cars set an identical time of 1 minute and 20 seconds, leaving Damso at the head of the field with one stage to run to wrap up the first day's action. Join us after the break for more Sasol Rally thrills. Stage 7, White River Super Spa presented 1.13 kilometers of fast tar road through the heart of White River. Thousands of spectators lined the streets to watch Enzo Keen take the win from Johnny Gemmel and Serge Damso. After 85 kilometers of hard rallying in trying conditions, Damso and Paisley held a 1-second advantage over Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson. Jan Habig and Douglas Judd were a further 30 seconds back in third overall. Johnny Gemmel and Marty Olivier continued to dominate the production car and Class N4 battle, over a minute ahead of Jaapie van Niekerk and Greg Godridge. With Fecken way ahead in A7, Craig Trott was piling on the pressure to catch the Class A6 leader Jaco Venter and Armand de Tooy. Rodney Versage had snatched a 4-second lead from Chris de Wit to head up the Class N3 runners, with Mike Nathan leading in Class N2. Dolf Coetzee continued to run away with Class 5 as the teams headed for the overnight stop in Nelspruit. An innovation at the 05 Sasol Rally was that the top 5 runners overall after day 1 were allowed to nominate their road order for day 2.
Yeah, it's a bit close, a bit tight, but we'll see it's all day today, so.
It's a stressful morning, it's not a good one. No, I think we're... there's not much in it between me and Serge, and we'll both be pushing hard today. And I'm enjoying it, that's what rallying's about.
And then we'll do the time. So we go left there. After our misfire, we lost quite a bit of time, so it was difficult to try and run at the same pace without taking serious risks. And we're trying to protect our points as well. But now we've got the misfire fixed, and I think we'll give it 101% here and there and see how it goes.
Day 2 of the Sasol Rally 2005, and Mpumalanga was finally living up to its name. Clear skies and bright sunshine greeted the 52 remaining crews. Yet more in-your-face entertainment awaited Mpumalanga Rally fans. The Subaru Super Special 1.43 kilometers through the heart of the provincial capital pitted equally matched cars in a head-to-head contest around a mirror image course. Sit back and watch the action. Serge had the bit between his teeth as he threaded his Castrol Runex around the narrow confines. Smooth and fast, he set a time 2 seconds quicker than arch-rival Enzo Keen to triple his overnight lead. Jaapie van Niekerk was matched against the top Subaru runner, Kali van der Merwe and Christoph Sneyders in their Sunbake Subaru Impreza GT. Van der Merwe was destined to retire in the following stage with gearbox problems. This half spin didn't harm Van Niekerk's charge at all, beating Van der Merwe by 1 second. Johnny Gemmell was more than a minute ahead of Japie van Niekerk in the race for Class N4 and production car honours. Here, Gemmell set a scorching time 3 seconds faster than Enzo Keen and 4 faster than van Niekerk. We asked Enzo whether there was a risk for spectators who get an eyeful up close.
It is risky. I hope they realise it. And, you know, I see people bulging into the road here, touching the barrier, and I hope they realise that if the car goes out of control, it takes about 400 metres to come to a standstill.
Something happens to the car or somebody makes a mistake, they'll just slip off the road into the crowd, which is quite scary.
And just to confirm that, just watch how close some of these cars get to injuring spectators. Look, Dad, this is something Uncle Serge taught me. After a quick 10-minute service in Nelspruit so that the technicians could set the cars up for the gravel stages, it was back to the forests for stage 9. Witklip Dam, the stunning setting for 12.35 kilometers of action in the Komati land plantations. As the early morning sun filtered through the trees, throngs of fans arrived to watch the intense battle between Damso and Keen. Damso certainly had the bit between his teeth. The wily champion is famous for his day 2 charges, and so it proved, for he added another 4 seconds to his lead. Keen, trying hard, narrowly avoids contact with those concrete blocks which would spell retirement if contact had been made. Keen dropped 8 seconds to Serge and was beaten by Habich, running well after fixing that misfire. Nicholas Ryan was finding his rhythm again, picking up the pace considerably as the young Brackband driver was still coming to terms with his high-speed role on the Toyota Rally from last month. Jaco Venter was under enormous pressure from Craig Trott, the veteran team total driver, slashing Venter's lead to just 3 seconds. Trott and Costa are the current Class A6 champions, and Trott's driving style is smooth and very quick. Italian Steve Walken, no relation to the Toyota Works driver Charles, is another young talent making a name for himself, but is perennially underfunded and running outdated equipment. Here he's running 21st overall and 3rd in his class. As the drivers settled into a hard day's dusty rallying, Chris de Wit was back in front of Rodney Versaghi for N3 honours by a full second, no less. The other class positions remained static for the moment, and Nathan and Hooper pulled further ahead of Stowe as the NPS Corolla had yet another flat wheel, and Dorf Coetzee remained well ahead in A5.
Look, the leader of yesterday had the first option on the starting position for today, so Serge chose to start 5th, which will give him a traction advantage in the loose stages. Now, the first stage was a very sandy stage around the dam, and it was clear because he took about a second per kilometer out of us there. We're just getting into it this morning. Need a bit of a cappuccino before I can wake up.
We're running good times at the moment, and you know, it's absolutely new for me to be right in front and to break where I see it, and it suits me. I like it, and I like it very much. It looks like the times are getting better as well.
There were ongoing problems for Claudio Piazzamuso and Janine Labuschagne. The gearbox mounting broke on day 1 and it took some time to repair. And it broke again on day 2.
Gearbox mounting broke, so we can't accelerate hard because it torques the engine and it kicks back the whole time, and we can't jump hard either. So we're just taking it easy. We're like a mobile billboard at the moment.
The Sasol Rally is 27th overall and 4th in class after 9 stages. Young Stephen Wilkin was another to suffer from multiple punctures, arriving back in service with 2 flat rear tyres, showing how rough and rocky some sections of the stages are. Craig Trott was quite relaxed in service.
We've beaten Jaco Venter on all 3 stages this morning. We've taken approximately 25 seconds off him. And he had another minute lateness penalty this morning, so we're probably half a minute ahead of him now. But it's not time to give up yet. A puncture could catch us later on in the event, but we are ahead at the moment.
Back to the action in stage 10. James Lookoff, a relatively short 9.84 kilometre ribbon of dry and dusty forest road with rough sections as well. Damso and Paisley again took time from the Volkswagens of Habig and Keen, adding another 5 seconds to his lead. Van Niekerk continued untroubled in 5th overall.
Stop.
In Class A7, Fecken was trying to catch Van Niekerk for 4th but couldn't match the times, so he settled into win Class A7 mode. Mike Nathan and Graham Hooper continued to build their lead in Class N2, while their main rival Aggie Stroh had yet more flat tyres. Nathan's wife gave birth to baby Mika the day before the rally. Congratulations, Mike. Tyre swapping became a regular practice for Stroh and Steyn through the weekend.
Opzet hierdie nou op vir ons. As daar nie die weg sit ons daai nou op. Lots of trouble this weekend. 5 flat wheels. The rear caliper broke one of the screws and we didn't know what was wrong, so every time we took it off we didn't see that it was loose and it was grinding against every wheel, and of the heat the tire burst every time. So 5 flat wheels. Eventually we got the problem, but now we're far behind. We're about 4 minutes behind Mike Nathan, but we're about a minute and 4 seconds behind Etienne, the previous stage, Etienne de Toy. So we're trying to catch Etienne for 2nd place. I hope we get there.
So do we, Aggie, to make up for all the bodywork damage and wrecked rims. Etienne de Toy and Patrick Vermaak soldiered on in their wounded Corolla, still suffering from gearbox problems. Jose Ferreira and Raymond Henop were inside the top 20 in their Husqvarna Subaru. Henop was suffering from nausea throughout the event. Paul Pfeffer and Duncan English were running superbly in 10th overall. Moving rapidly into contention, we caught up with Nicholas Ryan at service.
It's time to get going now. Skulk said he had to talk a little quicker, so it's better. It means that he has something to do today. So, but the car looks great now. We sorted out the shocks. The shocks needed some oil in them. They weren't moving up and down as they should. I felt, and it was too hard, but now the service guys did a fantastic job. Did both front shocks in 20 minutes this morning, serviced them, done, ready. I think we only 2 seconds behind him now. So we'll have to just keep on chasing. Don't stop.
Stage 11, 10.3 kilometers of fast sweeping roads with a coating of loose gravel and a mixed surface, including grass, near the end. Damso was under threat with both Volkswagen Polos eating into his small advantage, but remained calm and in control nevertheless. Jan Habig and Douglas Judd hammered in another fastest time in their BP Volkswagen Polo, 2 seconds quicker than Keen, in turn 2 seconds faster than Serge. The Toyota's lead was cut to 18 seconds. Lower down the order, Gugu Zulu and Llewellyn Fourie charged after Dorf Coetzee, still leading Class A5, while Michael Houghton and Bryn Doherty took the stage class honours. Houghton was 3 seconds off second in class, with Zulu breathing down his neck another 11 seconds back. In turn, Etienne Malherbe was under some serious pressure. Safiso Mashlangu and Mtombi Masilela survived a huge car-destroying roll in their Legwala Gwala FM Subaru, their 2nd roll in 2 rallies. As the roads opened up, the pace heated up even further. The chase for points was on, with positions changing all the time. Circuit service drivers and navigators pitched in to help technicians ready their cars for the next stage, checking that everything was in tip-top order.
Die tyd self is 21 minutes.
The chase is definitely on. I can't believe the pace. Obviously, this lesson that I taught the boys in the previous event that they talk about, it's paying off because at seconds, everyone's swapping seconds. It's so tight at the top. Can't believe it. Dolph's still about, I think he's about 40, 48 still up on us. And he's going hell for leather. And we're third at the moment. We're 3 seconds behind second place. And we don't know where Gugu is behind us as well, but I'm sure he's also pedaling. So you don't know. You just got to keep the hammer down right to the end, and once you've had a cold beer, you'll know how well you do.
Etienne Malherbe wasn't that fazed by the pressure.
Definitely a good fight. I think for once we're good in the running, and yeah, it's definitely one of the nicest rallies I've done in a long time. And I'm actually from the Lowveld. I grew up here, so for me it's very sentimental, and I'm really enjoying it. Dolph's still ahead of us. I think we're still second at this stage. Michael is eating a little bit from us, but I think we're still second, and we're trying to keep it there. I think Dolph is driving exceptionally well. I'm driving, I think, 9/10, I would say. I'm not sure if I'm at this stage willing to take another risk by putting it up like to 10/10. So I'm willing to accept the pace as it is.
Meanwhile, the top car boys went on top of things.
The shock absorber broke yesterday. We've got a standard shock, Gabriel shock in there now. And the first stage after this morning's service block, the bolt came out again. So we had two stages that we had to do at about 30-40 kilometers an hour. Thereafter we fixed it now, and now it's all sorted, so hopefully it'll go better now.
We had a bit of drama in the last 2 stages. It had to be the one without service in between. We lost the shock at the back that the bolt fell out, so it caused us a bit of drama. Lost about 15 minutes, I think.
Sahi was just 7 seconds behind De Wit.
Chris and I are really having a big ding-dong. He took quite a bit off us, and now the previous 2 stages and this last stage we took 7 back, so now we're 7 behind. So yeah, it's all flat out. You know, you got to go, but you also got to be cautious. So we've got to just see, because we've also got to think of the championship. We've got a bit of an advantage there, so I don't want to do anything stupid.
And how did De Wit see things?
We started this morning 4 seconds behind, then we slipped another 2 on the super special. We took the first 2 dirt, Roddy took some back, so we're now 7 seconds ahead still. Every second counts, and no one gives a second away unless they have to. You know, every corner counts.
Back to the action at stage 12 at 21.72 kilometers. Fast, smooth and open with loose gravel covering the road surface. Chris De Wit pulled another 13 seconds on Roddy Visagie to open his N3 lead to 20 seconds, while John Williams also beat Visagie on this occasion. A left rear puncture cost Visagie dearly. Ahead of the field, things hadn't eased up either.
Oh, we had quite a quick start this morning, and things are going a bit quicker at the moment. The pace is faster, so we're just hanging in there now. You know, just hope that we maybe can take a little bit back, but the 2 Volkswagens are going a bit quicker now. Quite airy out there, you know, to see. But it's good fun, and the cars are performing very well. And I think they must be quite spectacular, you know, from outside. I mean, I think we all push into almost a limit, so just hope we can all stay on the road till the end.
Stage 13, Andrek Mashegu, a twisty typical forest stage with smooth, hard to rocky and loose roads on the Sabi to Hazy View trip. The Sasol Rally has a traditional sting in the tail, and this year was no different. It was Enzo Keen who got stung though. A rear suspension bolt pulled out just after the start of the stage, and the polo crew lost 3 minutes and 15 seconds to Serge Damso. Habig was up into second place, Enzo down to third. Johnny Gemmell also suffered from Trisky stageophobia, that's fear of stage 13. He had a puncture and stopped to change the wheel. The jack broke, and after setting the third slowest time in the stage, dropped to 9th overall. At the front of the field, Toyota leads the way. Damso suddenly with a relatively safe 40-second cushion over Habig's BP Polo. Versace had a tale of bad luck.
We had a bit of bad luck. I think about 3 k's into the stage we got a left rear puncture, and it's just what we didn't need. So we really pushed and we only lost 13 seconds. But now I think we're 33 seconds behind. So now it's maximum attack for these next 3. It's quite frightening. Basically, on any right-hander you've got no control. The car, the rear end just steps out and it's uncontrollable. All left-handers are okay, but not as good. But on a right-hander, it's quite frightening, yeah.
The tyre graveyard told its own story about conditions in the stages.
Yeah, no, that's a great pity because we were in the death of the fight there. So we lost the steering arm on the back suspension, which causes the car to just randomly flick left or right, you know. So it's quite scary doing the whole stage with that situation. As soon as you come on the power, it would just snap to the left or right. So we lost 2.5 minutes. Thankfully managed to bring the car to the service area. The guys repaired it quickly, and we just have to do the final settings now. So need to do the wheel alignment now, but that's us. I think we have to settle for third. That's a great pity because I was enjoying the fight.
No, we were leading our class, and then we got a flat wheel the beginning of the 18k stage. So it was right at the beginning, so we couldn't drive with the front wheel flat. So stopped to change it, which wasn't a problem. Jacked it up, took the wheel off, getting the other wheel on there, the car fell down, broke the jack. So struggled there, get the jack out, bodged it, lifted it, got the wheel on. We lost 6 minutes.
Special stage 14, one of the most popular spectator stages on the outskirts of Sabi, was next. A 5.6 kilometer twisty and turning typical forest stage, and very rough in places. Enzo was back, his car strong, and he took the win by 1 second. It was Habig's turn to be worried, the Polo breaking a gearbox oil cooler. They ran 4 kilometers without oil, and as the box got noisier, the worry level went up. Remarkably, they made it back to service all intact. Nicholas Ryan and Skalk van Heerden were back on the pace, the Bosel Subaru setting the 4th fastest time on the stage to consolidate their 6th overall position. Jacques Botha and Greg Kierik were holding down 9th overall in their Bosel Subaru, 2 places behind Damso and Kobus Frey's team total Toyota Run X. With Jaco Venter retiring in the previous stage with engine failure, Trott and Costa were cruising to their 3rd class A6 win of the year. Dolf Coetzee and Irma de Plooi still led in A5, but the chasing pack was closing in. Malherbe's Crosley Taz just 24 seconds back, with Houghton only 10 behind that. Aggie Stroh caught and passed the embattled Etienne de Tooy for second in Class N2, while Chris de Wit was comfortably ahead in Class N3, 27 seconds in the hand.
We had a leak on the oil cooler on the gearbox, we lost all the oil, and we did 5 kilometers of the stage without oil in the gearbox, then another 14 kilometers open section, and the gearbox wasn't too comfortable after that. So we've put in oil, and it sounds less noisy, but we're a bit worried and a bit concerned about the gearbox at this stage. So we'll see how it goes. If it holds together for the next stage, I think it'll get to the end, but at this stage we're a bit nervous. It's been a tough event, and we obviously need the points. It's, I think, more important that we get a good batch of points for the championship, so we've always got that in the back of our mind at this stage.
A sweeping and very fast gravel stage followed 12.45 kilometers of road, and not for the faint-hearted. The first half was steeply downhill with undulations and dusty, rough and rocky sections in places. Sharp stones littered the surface, and with so many plagued by punctures, would a flat tyre decide the outcome of the Sasol Rally. Japie van Niekerk and Greg Godridge continued to lead Class N4 and the production car section. Hadgen Fecken, with a minute and a half in hand over Nick Ryan and the same gap to Japie, had no reason to push and cruised through the stage, their A7 class win all but in the bag. Barry Grobler and Mike Burrows were running steadily in 13th on day 2 in their Sasol Delight Volkswagen Golf, but lost 6.5 minutes in stage 13 with a broken fuel pipe fitting, dropping the Pretoria engineer to 22nd. Lola and Morgan Verluck soldiered on in their Bosch Sasol Delight Subaru Impreza, holding down 24th on the car's maiden outing, unable to overcome the time loss on day 1 when their windscreen wipers failed in the height of the rain. Former rally driver turned team manager Glenn Gibbons explains his role.
You've got to organise everything. It's catering, it's vans, it's fuel, and then looking after Japie, basically keeping him, happy. That's what it's all about. It's a very big mental thing. You've got to keep the guy happy, make sure he's up to the task. Even if things go badly, we keep him motivated, and that's what causes him to go. We have 2 full-time mechanics that run the car, and it's a total strip down after every event. Check, do everything that needs to be done, service the whole vehicle, overhaul the motor, everything. We strip the car completely every event and check it from top to bottom. We order for 2 events in advance. I make sure we got enough tyres to last us 3 events, so we keep stock of everything. It's difficult. It's a new car, and it's not available here. So you have to phone England, you have to order, you have to fax, you have to email. So we're not actually up to speed yet. We should be up to speed by, I'd say, maybe the next rally. Then we'll have everything that we need, so that when we leave the event and go back home, we can actually prepare the car with what we've got in the workshop. We have 2 full-time mechanics, myself. Then we have 2 extra guys, and the navigator and the driver, and our catering manager, Eunice. 8 people. We got 2 big vans, as you can see, and we carry about 70 to 80 tyres. The one van carries all the spares and the necessities. The other van carries the fuel and the tyres and the catering stuff and the gazebos and that. So you actually need 3 vans for 1 car. Every service area we service it. So if they do 2 stages and they're coming, we've got 9 minutes to check everything. Each wheel has got 1 mechanic and a fuel man. So they will strip the wheels off, check every single nut and bolt on the car, check the vital statistics like is the shocks leaking, is there an oil leak, is there something wrong with the car. Then they'll service the engine, check oil and all that. The back guy will check rear suspension, the exhaust, the prop shaft and the lubricants in the back. And the fuel man will fuel the car, and he will then do the windows and that. So basically the car gets a complete, if you want to call it, check over every time it stops here, if there's no problems. If there's problems, then you have to attend to that as well.
And after how many kilometers do you change tyres?
What we do is, every time he comes in, we basically give him 4 new tyres. We'll then inspect the old tyres and see if they're right, swap them front to back. If the fronts are too worn, we'll give him new ones. So basically, every time he stops here, he gets new tyres.
And that's how it works in a top privateer team.
The 2005 World Superbike Series, exclusive to your channel of champions.
This July, DSTV will double up the action. Half the year is gone, but that's not all bad. We cover 2 South African tests against Australia live and in dual commentary.
It's a longer gap.
Every stage of the Tour de France will be covered live, delayed and in highlights.
We'll try to keep that lead as long as possible.
2 arch rivals clash in the Ashes Series, the Australian Tour to England.
Wonderful reaction work from Hayden.
There will be a triple play of F1 action with races from Britain, Germany and Turkey. Great golf can be seen in the most coveted of all major championships, the British Open.
On target, a hole-in-one.
It's a battle royale in the CONCACAF Gold Cup on SuperSport 3 and the Brazilian Championship on ESPN. Plus more than half a dozen IAAF events, all live on SuperSport. It's double the action this July on DSTV. So much more.
European champs.
I've got a goal here.
World champions.
Ronaldo, 1-0 to Brazil. Schweinsteiger. Danger here, a chance of an equaliser, they got it.
A dress rehearsal for Germany 2006.
Japan, Brazil.
The FIFA Confederations Cup tonight. A festival of champions on your channel of champions.
The Sasol Rally 2005 is brought to you with delight by Sasol. Stage 16 in the Brooklands Forestry Complex has it all. 14.5 kilometers of hard and smooth but loose roads, narrow and dusty sections, railway crossings ending with a gravel highway towards the end. Although out of the battle for class honours, JP Damso and Kobus Frey hauled themselves back up into a healthy points haul, showing his inherent pace had he not had that drive shaft problem on day one. Jacques Botha and Greg Gericke were heading for their first finish since March, while the top car BMW of Blackburn and Klaassen made it to the finish in spite of running 29 minutes behind the leaders. 41 crews had made it this far, so there were no changes in the overall or class running order other than Gemmell, who moved up into 8th overall. Trotting along with another Class A6 win almost in his back pocket, Craig Trott and John Costa looked forward to the final stage. Stephen Wilkin and Brian Carrihill had survived after changing 3 starter motors and other mechanical bits and bobs. The final fling, stage 17, a unique stage running through the Nelspruit Showgrounds with a final spectacular dash to the flying finish inside the arena in front of thousands of wildly cheering fans. Ever willing to add to the fans' enjoyment, the Sasol Tigers performed a breathtaking aerial display, followed by 6 parachutists landing in the arena, and all this before even one car had appeared.
It shows you why they are the best. Here today, Champions. Beautiful. Look at this. Right over Sasol.
Damso raced into the stadium but dropped another second to Jan Habig and Douglas Judd, but it didn't matter anymore, as he still had 24 of those precious seconds in hand. This was the Castrol Toyota team's 3rd consecutive victory this season.
Yet another victory.
Jan Habig's strong 2nd overall keeps him at the head of the overall championship point standings, 5 points ahead of Damso.
South Africa leading away. Now, always
Feckin takes the lead in Class A7 after his 2nd class win and 5th overall. After 2 grueling days, the drivers reflect back on the event.
Yesterday especially was quite tight, and this morning was quite tight, so unfortunately that Inzo had a bit of problem with the back suspension and they lost out a bit. For 5 years we haven't finished this rally, so to finish this today and win it means a lot to us, to Toyota Motorsport.
No, it's a pity. I really enjoyed it. It's great. These new BP Volkswagen Polos seem to be there, and it's nice to know we've got a tool to fight with. Looking forward to the next event. I think we've got another half a second decade to go look for, and we'll be back to continue the fight. It's a small thing that cost us 2.5 minutes, and I think we handed the win to Serge, and he also deserved it. He drove very well, and I know this event has not been kind to him for it must be 5 years, so I think he still can't believe he finished and won the Sasol Rally.
you know, we were doing what we could do. Yeah, you know, we got the points. Would have liked more points at least. But I think under the circumstances, you know, what we've got is going to help us by the end of the season. And but I think it's time that we get a couple of wins now. I think the guys, we all need to really apply our minds and sort out the small gremlins, and so that, you know, we need probably about a third of a second a K, you know, which is really not a lot. It's just the real fine things that give you the time, and we need that urgently.
The plan was to keep it in the road, drive fast, but not ridiculous, irresponsible, and but still a little bit on the conservative side until the experience will come, and you know, once we know the roads a little bit better, you know, we can issue some speed.
Prize giving, first of all, next ball come in and also the next ball. Right in the middle, right in the middle.
Here's confirmation of the final results. But keep in mind, Johnny Gemmell and Marty Olivier were excluded from those final results for alleged dangerous driving on public roads. They have appealed, so all results from 7th onwards remain provisional. Join us next month for the Volkswagen Rally.